and Mr. Benrahma was another one who was found.
So hang on a minute. You recommended Said Benrahma to West Ham a few years ago when he was in France.
When he was for 1.5 million.
Hello and welcome to an interview with a former West Ham United scout. He worked under Sam Allardyce. I'm looking forward to this one, and I know you are too, but let's get straight into it. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Gio, thank you. My name's Ged Searson. I was the West Ham first team opposition scout and did domestic and European scouting for 3 years under Sam Allardyce, and worked in professional football for 11 years as a scout and 25 years as a football coach. So that's my background, and even better than that, I'm a West Ham supporter. I'm from Bethnal Green, and I was very, very fortunate to work for my own club. So not many lads can say that. So I was quite lucky, quite fortunate, should we say.
East End boy, still living in East End. What made you become a West Ham fan? Was that just a natural inheritance in the family?
It was. You know what? It actually wasn't. Can you believe that? I actually was an Arsenal supporter till I was 5. Unfortunately, my next door neighbours, or the family's next door neighbours, was the Sparrow brothers, John and Brian, who played for Chelsea and Arsenal. So I think there was an Arsenal shirt appeared somewhere. So as a child, and my sister's then boyfriend, now husband for many, many years, was a West Ham supporter, and he was saying, "No, you must support West Ham. You've got to come support us." And as it happened, it was the FA Cup final, Arsenal versus West Ham, and I was, as a 5-year-old, I said, "Okay, I'll support whoever wins." So I was obviously a young glory hunter, and obviously West Ham won, and then that was it. Then I was a West Ham supporter, and then like I said, my brother-in-law was brilliant. He took me from the age of 5 then to West Ham, and that was it. So that was my entry into West Ham. So yeah, and then my brother was a West Ham supporter as well, and all my nephews and so on. So yeah, there's a whole stream of Searsons are all West Ham supporters now.
You must be the worst glory hunter that exists.
Oh, you know what? I say that story all the time. Yeah, said that. Yeah, you win the one trophy and never win anything else afterwards. So yeah, that's got to be the worst one ever. But yeah, so no, I've been a West Ham supporter all my life. It's fantastic. So, and but it was just great to get an opportunity to work there as well years later, just by pure coincidence, to be honest. But yeah, that was my background. I used to stand on a North Bank. And then I got a season ticket. One of the last years there was a season ticket. You could get a season ticket at that point there, which was unusual. And then eventually moved across to the Bobby Moore stand, and I had a season ticket up there. So when I was coaching and still supporting the team, and even up at the age, I was 18. I think that was the year I did every game home and away. So I was one of those lads that just went on the club bus, the supporters bus, on a Saturday morning from Upton Park, and just go off to wherever it was in the country. So I did that. I think I might have missed one game. I think it was just because of a funeral or something like that. So that was I was a die-hard supporter, yeah, as a young lad.
Good man, love that. Before we get into your time at West Ham, how did you get into sort of professional football from a non-playing standpoint then?
So I started coaching at 19. I was injured at 17. Not that I was ever going to be any player of any sort of quality or anything like that. Started coaching at 19 when there wasn't many youngsters coached. Like now, there seems to be a lot. There's a pathway in football. There was no youngsters. So I was quite keen. I was quite eager. And I literally just started doing courses, and I was very fortunate. I travelled around Europe, and I was very lucky. A gentleman called, he was known as Mr. Robson in them days, obviously better known as Sir Bobby Robson. He was my mentor. So I studied under him at PSV Eindhoven as a young coach, and he totally took me under his wing, complete stranger, looked after me, really helped me, educated me as a coach and so on, and just developed. And I was doing youth coaching. I had my own football academy in Chadwell Heath. Can you believe that? Across the road from from West End Training Ground, I had my little soccer school there. So I spent 13 years doing that, and I was doing college coaching, university coaching, and I was managing non-league, which was any team that had no money, no budget, no hope. That was the club I got the phone call from to get them out of relegation. So that was.
Oh, you were definitely destined for West Ham.
I was, yeah,
no budget, no hope, and get out of relegation.
Yeah, that was it, and that was it. I was manager of Haringey Borough, which I laugh at now. And when I was there, we had 3 supporters. And 2 of them are actually dead now, I think, as well. So and then they played in the FA Cup there about a year ago, and they had 3,500 turned up. I'm thinking, where were you like when I was here? So there was no hope of that. And that was it. So I did a team like Waltham Forest. I was manager and so on. And then I was very lucky. Did my first opposition scout report for my own back, and then did a report on Brentford versus Bury. and gave the report to some people I knew at Grimsby. Had the report, passed it on to them, to the management. A friend was working at Barnet, and he just said, "Can we look at the report? We're playing Brentford next week." And I said, "Yeah, I'm sure your guys can do it better than me." And he said, "We haven't got any scouts." It was opportunity not. So the manager, I was very lucky then. The new manager, a young guy called Mr. Ian Hendon, who obviously went on to become West Ham first team coach. Hendo was the manager. He just took over, just retired as a player. Loved the report, and he said, "Look, can you do this for us every week?" And that was it. So I spent 2 years at Barnet, getting him out of relegation. 2 years again in a row in the old League Two as it is now, and then moved to Gillingham to work under Andy Hessenthaler for a year. And then Hendo then got a phone call from Sam when Sam came in at West Ham. Gaffer came in and brought in as a development coach and first team coach, and Ian recommended me to the club, and had an interview, and that was it. I was like, "When can you start?" So that was my career start at West Ham. So I was first team opposition scout for 3 years. So I came in that first year. So we'd just been relegated, obviously, from the Premier League when Avram Grant was manager. So we obviously just got relegated. It was Sam had come in, was bringing a lot of staff that came in from Blackburn as well. And I was one of the few that actually came in from, I think, the only local lads that actually worked at the club at that time, really, at that first team level, was probably myself and Peter Braybrook. We were the only two sort of EastEnders actually, and obviously Endo as well. So obviously he's more Essex, East London, but we were the local lads that worked there. And it was just great. That was it. Just straight away said, "Right, can you go and do the opposition scouting?" So that's what I did. There was 3 of us that did the opposition scouting. So that's what kind of happens at most clubs. I mean, I don't know if the followers know this stuff. This is kind of how it works. We'd have 3 opposition scouts. So every opponent we would play, we would get 3 reports on them, minimal. And so myself, and there was another George in Newcastle, was another lad in the Midlands, and we'd all overlap each other and cross over. And we would watch the 3 opponents before we played them. We put the information together for the analyst and for Sam and the coach and staff, and used the information, and that was the information that the management would use that. So we didn't do too badly because we got promoted straight away. So we weren't bad, to be honest. There.
So when you did your opposition scouting, did you all go to the same game, or did you do fixture A, then fixture B, then someone did fixture C?
So example, if we was playing, say like now Liverpool at the weekend now, so potentially I would have kind of watched Liverpool play last Saturday. One of the other lads would have watched them probably on the Tuesday before, and then it might be me or one of the other lads might have watched them before, or it might be I wouldn't be in that loop. There might be one lad, scout A would watch him 1 week, B would watch him the week after, and it just rotated rounds. But the idea is you never got the same person's opinion. The idea was just 3 or 4 different lads. So you get different summaries, different opinions, rather than one person's opinion. And that's how we worked. So again, we did that in the Championship, and we did fantastically well out of it. I think from the games I did. Obviously, I know we spoke before we came on. We talked about you like stats and stuff. That's the sort of thing I do, but I do that with records of like, I want to watch that team, we beat them. I want to watch that team. Oh, I didn't watch that team and we lost. Oh, okay, what's happening? Because you're competitive. That's what you are. You like that sort of thing. And so obviously that year we got promoted, and it was a great experience because again I've been working in lower level before that, but it was I was now part of a big machine of different scouts. I was doing player recruitment as well, but it was just being organised. And again, we were very organised that year, and it was unfortunate because we think we would have gone automatically promoted, and Reading won the league. I remember right, and they went on a mad 12 wins in a row out of nowhere. From being mid-table, just went, and obviously they got promoted, and we ended up being the playoffs, and then obviously we won the playoffs. But that was, for me, it was a great day because it was my club, the club you support, and you're going back to work for them, and going to Wembley and winning.
Did you go as a fan or like a member of staff? Where were you sitting basically? Were you with the fans?
I was a member of staff. I was up in the stands. And I'm lucky I had my brother with me, my nephew, my brother-in-law that took me as a kid. So I got him with us as well. So we kind of went as a family, the 4 of us. And it was a fantastic. Where was you that day? Can you remember?
I was working. I was a young lad that time. So I was at work. Yeah, it was far too pivotal in my career. The annoying thing is, though, I went to work that day. Yeah. I was normal and I was nervous. So, and then like lunchtime, my manager said to me, "Just go home." I was like, "What?" He said, "Go home and watch football." I was like, you tell me now, I could have went, but if I lived in England, I could have probably had gone and had a half day. But given where I live, very north of Scotland, it's a bit of an exercise. So
it was thing, because I said I used to work in the Chadwell Heath area when I had my little football school there and everything like that. So of course everyone knew that I was working there, and the amount of people was ringing up desperate for tickets. I think we could have sold probably 200,000 tickets that day very easily. It was just one of those things that everyone was desperate to get to Wembley to see this final, and we won it. It was great, and for us it was a good. We had a good. We had a good backroom staff there.
Was your ticket free, or did you have to pay for it?
I had to pay some of it. So okay. It was, do we say that way? Yeah, it was a bit of that was a little bit disappointing. But yeah, it was a bit of it was a strange one as a member of staff. But for me, it didn't matter, because I said it was the family tickets. I wanted to get my family into the game with me, because again, they said it was like the hottest ticket in town. It was so desperate to go. And it was great to be there and be part of it and be with my family. So that was a good thing. But yeah, it was a great opportunity. That first year was great to go up, and as I said, working under Sam was a good experience. I mean, I know there's lots of different varying opinions on Sam and positives and negatives like that, but he came in and he had one job, and that was for us to get promoted at any cost. It didn't matter what the style of play was or anything like that, and we had to, because also we knew if we didn't get promoted that first year, our budget was going to get cut severely. So really, it was we really had to go up in that 1 year, and we did. And obviously, we had to go through the playoffs again, which wasn't ideal, but we had to go through, and we did, and that was it. And then the next 2 years, the job was survive, and I think it was some sort of forget. Slightly, if we hadn't survived, we had to start from scratch again. So every year you survive in the Premier League, your budget builds and you get stronger, that kind of thing. So it's getting harder now. Any team that gets promoted now, really, it's kind of getting harder for those guys. Like you can see with Fulham and West Brom. I mean, Leeds are obviously doing well, but the others, it's so hard. And for us, the first year we went up, we ended up 10th as well, which was amazing, because I said it was really having to grind out results and so on, and we were near the bottom for quite a lot of while, and then we just had a great little winning run at the end and get through. So no, it was good.
As like a championship club, did we have a lot of scouts, or was that the norm? Does every championship club have 3 scouts to watch the opposition? Or
we had 10 scouts working in the department, so it was big. I mean, to be honest, I was going to say that's unusual. I was chief scout at Leyton Orient under the Italian regime for 1 year. I was the only scout not to be relegated under that guy. All the madness that went on. So the year I was there, I had 10 scouts there. You
can tell you worked under Allardyce. I have not been relegated on my CV.
Yeah, that was on my scouting CV. Yeah. So again, no, we actually missed out on playoffs by about 3 points or something. So obviously Kevin Nolan was my manager for a period of time as well under that madness that went on in that year, which was that's a whole different. That's for another YouTube channel. If Leyton Orient ever get one going, there's the.
I want to know about Kevin Nolan. What was he like to work under? Because he was now a coach at the club and stuff.
Yeah, no, Kevin was great. Kevin was a player. He was at Orient. He was training with the club. We hadn't played. And then the manager role came up, and he took over, and he didn't really know me. So it's funny. So we had our team meeting. The staff were all sitting together, and then we had a lot of staff at Orient as well. And it was like, so you kept Andy Essenthaler in the room, and Lee Harrison was the goalkeeper coach, who was also the 23s goalkeeper coach at West Ham previously. Who worked in it. So I worked with the Barnet as well. And he just said, "Oh, can anyone else leave the room?" And then next minute I was someone back in, and he just goes, "I didn't realise you was at West Ham with me." And I said, "Yeah, I was there." He goes, "No, you're okay." That was fine, because obviously I'd worked with him and worked under Sam. He was like, "No, you're fine. You're okay." Yeah. We didn't know who I was, and the others lads said, "No, Ked worked with you." It's just you. Again, the staff wouldn't know us, because people would say, "Oh, what was it like then?" Well, we never saw any games. We never, whatever you were watching, we never saw. We was always on the road watching who we going to be playing next week. So even at the training ground for meetings and stuff, we would just say hello to people that no one really knew what we actually did and put together. I mean, it was great. You'd always see a little news article, and then maybe Mark Noble put a little article out saying it's great working under the gaffer. He knows so much about the opposition. We're so well drilled, and we're like thinking, Yeah, where's our credit? No one's ever mentioned our name. We're the lads putting the hours in. We're all over the country doing it, and so we never got part of that. As a scout, you don't expect praise, and if you're looking for praise and you're looking for responsibility, you won't be disappointed when you don't get it, even though you know what you're doing. But no, Kev was good. I mean, it was his first. That was his first management role and so on like that. And again, you can imagine he was completely fresh to it. And but he was thorough. So we did exactly the same thing. We used to print all the reports off. I had lots of lads working with me, and he used to say that he used to get on a Sunday morning or Sunday afternoon when the football was on telly. He'd get all the reports that we had. He'd print them all off, and there was a lot of information in there. And he said he used to lay them all on his living room front room. And he would turn all the pages, like all the formations, all the pages at the same time, and look through and try and get to know the teams of how we did it. So Kev was good, and he was good feedback and everything. But unfortunately, he couldn't work at Orient under that manager as well, and the chairman, and he didn't last long. He just said, "No, I can't do this." And it was a mad environment. But he was good to work with, and it's great that he's back at the club again now, and the team's doing really well. So the club's in good hands.
When you spoke about the budget, were you referring to the budget to spend on players, or the budget within the club? And essentially, your job could be at risk had we not gone up. Cuts would have had to be made.
It would have been the whole club, everything, the budget, everything. Now, so the transfer budget would have been cut, the staff budgets, the non-playing staff, i.e. the coaching staff, everything would have done. It just every club would be the same situation. I know the parachute payments and so on, but any club that gets relegated, you've got that first year really is your bounce back year. If you don't make it in the first year, you're probably not going to make it back. You look at Leeds, for example, how many years it took to kind of get back in there. So for us, it really was. We had to get back there, and it was hard, and there was pressure on the club, and we went up and it was brilliant to win the playoff final. Was great, back in now, and then the following year, obviously your budget goes up as well, and again, but then even that first year we were back in the Premier League. That was kind of the first year when, I'm sure I'm right, it was the first year when the wage cap came in as well. So we didn't know, and again, the FA at that point was quite interesting. The FA never actually said what the punishment would be if you went over the wage cap or the ceiling. So when we was having meetings regarding players coming in and so on like that, we were having to be very careful because we was more worried it might have been 3 points deduction or 6 points deduction. That could have relegated us. So you can imagine these meetings were quite difficult, looking to get a team that was going to make us stay in the Premier League without going over budget, and make sure they were the right players as well, and so on. So it was a tense time as well. It was. I mean, there's always stress and stuff, but it was a tense time, and things were starting to change in football as well at that time, and. So we had to put a team together the following year. And imagine that even going through the playoffs is never easy either, because you don't know what league you're going to be in the next year. If you lose the playoffs, you're in the Championship. So even when they was doing recruitment scouting, it had to be quite vague. If we get promoted, we might get this lad. If we don't get promoted, we might have to go for this one. So even then, the scouting assignments for the recruitment department was quite tricky there.
Did you know what the budget was?
I don't.
Did you get an indication that we'd have X million to spend, so we're looking at buying in Y players at approximate cost of Z each? No,
so I wouldn't know exactly what. I just know that, again, the cost would have changed because the club wouldn't have had the same money, and it would have been. It said that I think people don't probably realise that it was so important to promote it that year. It really was so important because the club probably would not be where they are now if we didn't get promoted that year.
So when you went into these meetings, what happened? What if you went into a meeting today under Sam Allardyce? What would you be expecting?
So when we did, so obviously I did the opposition scouting, and also we did recruitment. And again, before you ask it straight away, I know everyone says, "Oh, well, what player did you recommend?" Blah, blah. And the recruitment doesn't work. It's not quite like that. So when we went out to games, we would have to scout all 22 players on the pitch. So we never scouted one player or two, and it was called trawling. So we go to a game, and we'd have to go and grade all 22 men, which is, again, I was a bit, when I first asked to do this, I was like, oh wow, I've never done this before, so it'll be something different. And you get quite used to doing it. So we'd go to a game, and we'd watch a match, and every player would be graded from A to E of their performance and how their signing potential, signing ability. And And we did this. So we had this huge amount of data would come through, but all the players that we liked, and this would be every league in any league. So the information would come back in. So we knew that this certain player, whatever level he was consistently getting good ratings. And the data team would go through and look at the data as well. And it would be just scouts. But we had so many lads doing these reports, being it European scouting or domestic scouting, and wasn't so much video scouting then. Now there's a lot of video scouting going on as well. And then we look for trends. Certain players were constantly getting decent gradings all the time, and it'd appear on the right. And that's why you look at literally every sort of player you can beat in the Premier League now, and probably in the League Championship or like that, they would have been scouted by the club multiple times without the players ever knowing they've been watched, but being watched all the time. And then they start looking through the thing. So when we had these recruitment meetings, we'd have everyone in together, and everyone would be given their little list of what players do you recommend for these positions? What's our first choice or second choice, even third choice? And you have these lists together, and it just got collated together. And then we'd have a look at the squad, what should we actually have? And then actually we look at those gaps, thinking, okay, well, his contract's probably going to run out next year. We need someone to fill into that spot there potentially. He might go. If he doesn't sign, we need 2 or 3 here. He's not doing it at the moment. We need to get someone better at that. So you kind of preempted. So as soon as one transfer window finishes, and this will be the same for all clubs. So literally, as the windows closed yesterday, there'll be a meeting today for the next window. And that's how clubs will work. They ought to be putting that meeting together today. So the rest of this week, there'll be a gathering. Now it'll probably be by Zoom. Previously, it would be the scouts will be all summoned together. Let's get into a room. And again, when we said the scout meetings were good, we get together, have little meetings to chat away for that time. And then it'd be as a thank you, then the gaffer would take us out for dinner in the evening. So that would be the second part of it. So all the scouts would be taken out to Canary Wharf and like that, and would be given a meal and they get together. So it was a bit of a bonding moment as well. It was always good having Sam there, because obviously having dinner with him was like having dinner with Henry VIII. We go together, and again, he was good to everyone there. And then he'd go out, he said we'd go sit down together, and then we'd be like, okay, no one's ordering, we're going to order everything. And the whole menu we brought to the table. I think it was more the worry that he might miss out on something that was quite nice. So everything was ordered, it was on the table, and that's it, and everyone would be picking. So that's kind of how our recruitment meetings used to take place. But there was a lot going on behind the scenes all the time, and it was a well organised. I mean, I know there's been different people come in since then, but at that time it was organised. Everything was kind of there was a lot of planning went into it, as you can imagine. That's how Sam, as he works, and he does that for every club he goes into. He's organised, especially the clubs he normally goes into. Unfortunately, are usually in a bit of a state for one reason or another. And I think the club, when we came in, was in a bit of a state. Not being critical that the scouting department was there before. I don't think it worked with what Avram Grant probably wanted. But that seems a million years ago now, when Avram Grant was manager of this. And it does seem such a long time ago. But that's how the recruitment department was kind of how it would work at the club.
I know you've already sort of half batted the question away, but my viewers will kill me if I don't ask. You know, when you say you've done the grading thing, you'd compile a list of 2 or 3 players. Is there anyone on that list that we didn't go get that's gone on to do really good?
Loads. I mean, people like someone like Captain Michael would be one there now. Again, it was an obvious for his father's name with someone there that came up on it many times, and you're thinking like, you know what, there's something like, because he's not the tallest of goalkeeper, you know, as in he's not an 8 foot tall goalkeeper, but you just kept looking at his gradings, and this guy was consistently getting good grades. And I'd seen him at Notts County. Amazing, he was at Notts County when Sven was the director of football, whatever it was. So he would have been one that sort of came up on there. I remember watching Harry Kane when he was playing for. It was on loan at Millwall, I think it was there, but he wouldn't have thought. You know, they're ones he just thought, hang on, doesn't seem that quick, and doesn't seem like. And if anything, I can remember looking back through the reports, he shot from everywhere. He just shot from everywhere. So it was obviously probably someone at Tottenham that told him when he was out on loan, when you're playing, just shoot. Don't think about passing to anyone. All it's about you, just be greedy, just finish him like that. So he was someone, but he would have been someone that probably wouldn't have appeared on the radar there. But there was plenty. But yeah, like someone. Again, we had every player, just lots of names come up there. There was a few lads from overseas that we liked. There was a lad there playing in France. He's gone off my head out of the head now. I watched over there a few times, and again, it was someone who I think he moved out of Germany, but it was someone who, again, we wasn't sure what our budget, the transfer limit was, and there was a bit of hesitance with some of the signings. But I would say when we was there, a lot of the signings were senior signings. When we was at that time, we didn't sign many young players. There wasn't that risk, that thing of well, he might make it. The players that were signed at that time were ones who they'd been there and done it. Does that make sense?
So as a scout,
safe signings in some ways.
As a scout, do you get more excited by trying to judge the potential of a younger player and say this guy is going to make it, this guy's going to go out? Because, like you said, safe, isn't it? But surely a scout's sort of pedigree is picking out the players that are rough diamonds, that's cheap, and getting them in, and you're like, wow, I've turned a £1 million player into a £20 million player.
This is the thing. Since I stopped and I left West Ham, and I was chief scout of a few clubs, and then I started my own company there, and I started doing my own scout database a few years ago. It was myself and a few other scouts. My idea and Endham was involved as well. We went out to some games. We started scouting games in France, and it was trying to create what we had at West Ham, but we did it for ourselves. So basically, our own data. It's that same process we had, but we did this thing where we watched every player from every game, and we put this database together. But we started focusing on French League 2, and we were just told by lots of clubs, this is a league we're interested in. Even West Ham, we approached clubs a lot with this army of scouts together, guys who are disgruntled at other clubs, don't want to work for clubs anymore, or they're free agents or whatever. So I sort of collated them together and said, right, we will cover a league and we'll scout a whole league, but we'll watch every single game every week, and we'll do every single player. And we said, well, if we was to do this, what league would you like? And all the clubs came at Everton, West Ham, Leicester, Newcastle. Everyone said French League 2. Okay, fine, we did this together, and we picked up loads of players, and we did mention a few of them to West Ham that never really got picked up on, and it was Mr. Guendouzi was one of them, and Mr. Benrahma was another one who was found.
So hang on a minute. You recommended Said Benrahma to West Ham a few years ago when he was in France.
When he was for 1.5 million. So the club could have saved £48.5 million basically. So so Benrahma was there was an army of young lads that went. Again, it was just using the same process we had at West Ham, but we did it for ourselves, and it was just trying to get. I'm not an agent. I was just working with agents, working with clubs, and look, these players, we've got a team of staff doing this. We recommend the players. So Benrahma was one. Guendouzi was gone. There was another lad called Indica. He was at Orzel, was going for about $1 million. We went for $4 million in the end. Went to I think he's at Frankfurt. He's now worth at 49 million. He's worth that. There's another young lad that went out to I think he was going for 400 grand at one point or something like that. He went to Roma. I went to Milan for 4.5 million. There was an army of players. So there was a couple, but Guendouzi was one that was mentioned to West Ham as a player. Look, is someone you need to look at. And I think Fulham was told about him, and they never even heard of the lad. They was doing data scouting. So, but Benrahma was 100%. It was someone we knew was a good player. He was at Nice in France and wasn't getting in the team. They loaned him out to a club called Châteauroux. So he wasn't even a first choice player. And we'd said, look, this guy can play. And then when Brentford signed him, so he's going to be good. And he's again. So there's plenty of players like that. So he's one. Guendouzi could have been another one. And then the reverse of it. Then never one. I was chief scout at Grimsby twice of all the places it could have gone. So I'm even drinking out the Grimsby mug because my West Ham one's in the dishwasher. And but I mentioned Declan Rice, the club there. I said, look, the West Ham got an 18-year-old playing in the 23s. He probably needs life experience getting out. And the club was playing five at the back of the time, or 3 centre backs, and they didn't go for it. Within 2 months, he was in the first team. So you're thinking, okay, all right. So there's one we missed out on in the reverse. But the Benrahma one was again the lads when he moved. We think, okay, that was one we highlighted that one. So again,
so were you responsible for Maiga as well then?
No, no, it was. So when we was at West Ham, it was good. I mean, at that time, like the big signing for us at that time was Andy Carroll.
Yeah,
one that we needed to do. And you look at a club, especially when you get promoted, and you're always looking to think, okay, right, what can we sign now, which is going to be is going to take you the next level, and that's how you kind of on recruitment, you're looking at, again, not every sign is always going to be that blockbuster that's going to take the team to the next level. There's backup players in there as well, and I always tell people, obviously, David Martin last year, a perfect example there. Obviously, he got Cameron. Was it what did he been? Fourth choice goalkeeper, probably fourth choice goalkeeper.
Third choice, yeah.
Yeah, and then bang, you get an opportunity knocks, and was he 35? Yeah, and making a Premier League debut and getting a win and stuff like that. So yeah, it's scouting. It's not always that box office signing. You're sometimes signing players in from in behind.
So what's it like? What's it like being a scout? You're doing your hard work, you're doing your hours, you're doing your graph, you're trying to grade these players, recommend them and stuff, and then a David Sullivan special rocks up in the training park for Monday morning from South America, and you're thinking, who's this guy? Hang on a minute, we've done all this reports, all this time, and you've just gone and plucked someone out. Where did they come from? Do you know? Did the scout recommend them?
To be honest, when we was there was none of those. There wasn't any of those signings there. The guys that came from when we were there were lads that were ones there. I know my ego was one, but there was. So we'd done our work, and the players, we were quite thorough. Not saying that every sign is ever going to be right, but we did our homework was done. You do it properly, and you really go into it. And again, it made me wonder a couple of years ago. And it was the lad we was meant to be after from China, the guy who used to play with Southampton, the striker, the Italian fella,
Graziano Pella.
Yeah, and they were saying, we're gonna go and sign him. We never do any video scout. We never sign anyone by video. We do it a lot. And I'm thinking, can't imagine many scouts from London flying out to China for 4 weeks doing assessments on it. So again, yeah, there's certain signings you think of, sometimes you're thinking, okay, what research went into that one there, or was there? But no, when we was there, there wasn't many names. That just, as you said there, someone just turns up the training ground. And then you're thinking, who signed in? It does happen in the Premier League. I know there's a couple of players have been in that situation, have turned up and have spoke to the scouts and said, well, we ain't watched him. And I thought, all right, okay, then where's that come from then? So, but no, definitely when we were there, it wasn't that. We were pretty on the ball, to be honest.
What was it like working under Sam Allardyce then in general? You spoke about him a little bit. What was it like? Did you ever see his war room?
No, we never saw a room. You know what? Here's one for you. And I said that I went to watch on it was a Monday night, and I was going to watch Reading versus Arsenal, and we was playing both of them. So both teams are coming up. So I was doing opposition scouting, and then it was a bit confusing at the training ground today, and then they'd rung me up, and Greg Mathis was the guy. He was the scout coordinator. Greg's the head opposition scout at Liverpool now. So Greg's done fantastically. After he left West Ham, he's done absolutely brilliant there. Greg rang me up and said, we're not sure who's going with you. So obviously you're going. And he said, I might be going with you to do the opposition. And we might have Naka and Neil McDonald, who was Naka might be going with you. He might watch the other team. Then they rang up and said, no, actually Hendo might be coming with you. And then they said, oh no, the gaffer might go. So they didn't really know there was a bit of chaos during the day. And I said, well, look, doesn't matter who's going. I'm going to be there. 7:45 was 8 o'clock. It was live on Sky or whatever it was. I said, I'm going to be or 7. And then I said, well, I'm going to be there at 6:30, blah, blah, blah. As always, get there early, get prepared, have everything ready. And when I got to the game, and they still didn't know who was going with me. And then they said, no, the gaffer's going. I said, okay, fine. So when I got to the game, and we got to it, I said, okay, I'm Ged Searson from West Ham. I had my ID and everything. I said, no, your ticket. I said, no, your ticket's gone. So what do you mean my ticket's gone? And I said, it's in my name. He said, yeah, I know it's in your name, but your tickets have gone to whoever's gone with you. And I said, well, who's that? He goes, oh, I believe it's your manager. But he's took both your tickets. And I'm like, yeah, but one of the tickets are mine. I said, yeah, we know that there's been a mistake. He shouldn't have took both the tickets. I said, well, who's with him? And then it was along the lines of whoever the other person said, oh, don't worry about it. He can go and get his own ticket or something. So I was furious, thinking, who was this person who's gone with him? Who's basically dismissed not my ticket, because obviously it's the staff ticket. So I said, no, we'll get another ticket for you. But the club's going to pay for it. I said, we'll find them bother me. But I said, oh, I've got to get them working and we get to this game. So I run back to the club and I said, look, Gaffer's took the spare ticket. So who's gone with him? So we don't know. And I was like that. So I was ringing. I was fuming anyway. So I got to the game and I was sitting separate from the Gaffer anyway. And then the next day I rang up the training ground and Greg just said, Ged, before you say anything, I apologise. I said, who had my ticket? And he goes, the Gaffer gave your ticket to his chauffeur. And I just burst out laughing, and I was like, I was laughing. I was half shocked, thinking, okay, my ticket was given away. But I was then laughing, thinking, he's got a chauffeur. The driver's driving to get.
Okay.
What?
I'm not surprised. I am not surprised.
I was more laughing there. So yeah, no, like he was fine. But yeah, it was a cock up the day. But I was just curious. Where was this other bloke? So the chauffeur just turned around thinking, obviously said, "Oh no, this ticket ain't for you." And he's like, "Obviously, I want to go." He goes, "Oh, don't worry about it. The other bloke can get his own ticket." So I was kind of living there. But yeah, it was just Sam was fine. I mean, look, he's a larger life character. I mean, I went to the training ground one day, and it was in the scouts room next to the gaffer's office. And I could see someone walking around with like a waistcoat on, like looking quite smart, walking around. And I was sort of looking through them. Who's that in there? So I'm walking around, and then I couldn't work it out. And then I sort of looked again, and all I could see on the floor was a hairdryer on the floor, and like a mirror. And then I said to Greg, is the gaffer having his haircut? And he went, yeah. But it was a normal occurrence. So the hairdresser would come into the office and cut his hair at his desk. So yeah, there was a lot, larger than life character. But yeah, no, look, you know what is said. I know from different as being a West Ham supporter, and I understand where the fans come about the style of play and stuff like that, and it wasn't appreciated as well. And again, I know some of the games probably wasn't the greatest on the eye, but I said our job was at that time it had to get. I mean, it wasn't down to me. I did the opposition reports. This is what the team does. They play in this way. This is their weaknesses. This is their strengths. And I pass it over and said, right, management, you work out the answer. I'm giving you the questions now. You work it out, and you put together the best formula so we can win these games. And he was good at that. And that's what we. And as a club for stability, we needed that. If we didn't have that, it was yo-yo and we went down again. We would be in probably a worse state and probably wouldn't be where we may not even be in the Premier League now. So it was really important to get up and survive. And the club builds on there, and we are where we are now, which is great.
I was having a little look, and you actually used Allardyce's tactics at your college football, and it paid off.
You know what? How did you hear that one? That's a classic. That one.
I do my research.
The funny thing, the first year that I spent at West Ham, and again, and I've been coaching. I was working at Richmond upon Thames College, sports captain. It was super, really big sports college at the time. And unfortunately, now there's no sports there whatsoever. And there was one of the first football academies, and the team was doing okay, but every year was just falling short. And that one year, and it was the first year I worked at West Ham, and learning a little bit more about how we played and how we were structured and how we were set up. And I said Ian Hendon was obviously my gaffer, or Ian, and West Ham, Barnet before that, and was coach at. But also I know the way he works on the training ground. He was Sam's captain at Notts County. There was definitely a manager. If a player's worked under a manager, they follow certain traits and suits and stuff like that, and being organised at set piece and stuff. Even when I was at Barnet, we didn't have nothing. We had Yannick Balassi on one wing. We had Albert Adoma on the other wing, which is amazing. We had no players. We had these two lads that became great players afterwards. Definitely Yannick. But we was organised at set pieces. So I don't think we conceded a goal from a corner for 2 years. At Barnet, amazing. At Barnet, we just never conceded any corners. We might concede all types of other goals, but we never conceded a corner. So we was organised at West Ham, and I used the same set piece routines and organised with my college side. And we went 39 games unbeaten in the season, which is ridiculous. We didn't play that many games, and we won the quadruple. So we became national champions as a college team. So we were the best, well-drilled, set-piece, organised team, a college team thing ever. And we were. So yeah, I did learn a few things from being in it, but it wasn't just from that. But it was also from me doing the reports and watching better teams at a higher level. At the time of the championship, I was using what I was seeing now. So yeah, as a coach, it really developed me as well. So yeah, there was definitely some traits from the gaffer involved in there. So yeah, definitely.
Love it. Speaking of people you worked under, you mentioned him at the very start, but everyone but him, which is rare for me. But Sir Bobby Robson, what was it like working under him?
I started under. It was said he was Mr. Robson when I knew him, and it was fantastic. It was just a great. I literally wrote to him as a young coach and said, "Look, I'd like to be able to watch you train. is that possible? And he just rang up. He rang my house up again. I was 23 or 24, and he said, "Yeah, you want to come over? Come over. I'll see you next week. I'll see you next week." And that was it. So I went over and watched the training sessions. I was there writing my notes. So I was a young, eager coach. I went off to Romania. I went to watch Ajax train in the 90s when they was European Cup winners under Van Gaal and stuff like that. And so Bobby was brilliant. He just said that was it. Come in, right, sit down with the players. It was to sit down with Ruven Nistelrooy and have breakfast with him. And he was the one that actually, of all the players, actually liked the Premier League, wanted to know about the League. He was really friendly and sociable. So to sit down and breakfast with him in the training ground in the morning. He was their sort of young superstar striker at that time before he moved to Man United. So Bobby was brilliant. I'd go to training session. The next minute, he opened the gate and said, "Right, you're on the pitch with me." So he'd doing the training session, and I'd be standing next to him, and he'd be asking me, "What do you use this session for? Do you seen this before?" And he'd even do sessions that probably wasn't beneficial for the team, just to show me a session. So I'm thinking, why is he trying to show this routine? Has got nothing to do with the rest of the session, but he was putting sessions on so I could learn. So yeah, unbelievable. And he said, "Okay, what are you doing on a Sunday after training?" I said, "Oh, I'm going to go back to my hotel and write my notes up." And he goes, "Oh, do you want to come around and watch the football?" Well, okay, then. So it was just like this strange thing, just sitting on the sofa with England's former manager, watching the Super Sunday on Sky. So yeah, no, he was superb. Really, it helped me with my coaching career, and then it helped me with the scouting as well. And I was very fortunate. But again, with the scouting, I've met lots of really good people on the way, and you go to a game and you're doing a report, and you don't know who you're going to be sitting next to. And I've sat next to some really really sad one recently. Was obviously Ray Clements passed away. Obviously Tottenham and Liverpool goalkeeper, and he was obviously a goalkeeper coach, and he was working for England. A game, I think it was a game at Ipswich I went to watch, and he was sitting next. Don't know. At Ipswich behind the dugouts, back in the Championship, I think it was then, and their sort of scouting area was obviously massively condensed, so you're all actually crammed in on top of each other, sort of in behind the dugout. You're trying to write your notes and you can't really do it. And he was sitting next to me, and I think it was Bristol City's chief scout, and there was another guy, and four of us sitting together in this little unit, and we're just cramped, and you're trying to write and you can't write. And I just said to him, I said, "Did you ever have a wall as tight as this in front of you when you was in goal?" And he said, "I did, but not when I was at Spurs." And I just burst out laughing. The way he just said it. So obviously the defending set pieces at Tottenham wasn't as good as they were at Liverpool and England. So you get things like that. And he also, I miss people like that. Peter Braybrooke was there. Obviously, Peter was a West Ham legend. And Peter used to go to games as well, and occasionally sing. Peter was obviously Peter at the end. He passed away a few years ago now. And Peter would do the local area for West Ham. So he was a local regional scout. And but Peter was really old school and one of the funniest guys you can meet. And I think I went to a game at Colchester. I think I was probably chief scout of Orient or something at the time, and Peter was at the game. Even at Colchester, it's like strictly shirt and tie and collar. Got to be in there, be smart dressed, which is fine. Again, not a lot of the lower league clubs would go to that one. Of course, I'm in there, and it was a baking hot day right at the beginning of the season. So you can imagine it's red hot. I'm there with a suit on. I'm sort of sweating, thinking, all right, okay, I'll follow the rules. And I turn around and Peter breezes in a t-shirt, combat shorts, and a pair of sandals. Just breezes straight into the director's box. And I said, "How did you get away with this?" He goes, "Everyone knows me. I ain't dressing up." So again, it was just stuff like that. So Peter was great. He was a really good scout for West Ham, and he was a lovely guy. And it was really sad. He passed away a few years ago. And when he had his funeral, Harry Redknapp was there doing a speech for him and stuff. So yeah, but he used to be good. You'd meet people on your paths as well. So there was good experiences. You meet nice people in football there, and you're all football fans at the end of the day as well, and everyone sort of works together.
Back to West Ham. Apart from the playoff final, that's cheating. What's your favourite moment? What's your favourite moment working for West Ham?
Do you know what? Before I left, I walked out, and there was a few things I wasn't happy, and I loved working for the club. There was just a few issues there with actually regarding the contract, and there's a few points that hadn't been fulfilled, and I was taking too long. You know what? I'm undervalued. I'll leave. And I literally just handed him a resignation, and I walked out. And for me, it was what I wanted to do. I ended up being a chief scout afterwards, and that was the next progression. You can either be a small fish for a very big pond, sort of like that, or your career has to progress. But for me, was the last 5 games I did as an opposition scout for West Ham, we never conceded a goal. So I know you was talking about stats before and stuff before we came on there and stuff like that. And again, it's me competitive as a coach, manager, and everything like that. So that was the little run when we had. When we drew with Chelsea, when Mourinho came in, as the famous quote, we was playing, was it 18th century football or something like that? That was that.
Oh, was that the 0-0 where they had about 35 shots or something?
Yeah,
and we had about 1.
Yeah. So we ground out this thing and just frustrated them, and they couldn't get through us. And then we went on that run, and we won four games in a row after that. So that was, for me, was like, I think I broke this. It was like a record. We hadn't, I think it was 35 years or something. We hadn't conceded a goal for 5 games under. I don't know. It might have been broken again since then. So stuff like that. That for me was an important. But sometimes, just as a scout, just going to, I think we beat Chelsea another time. I think it was Stamford Bridge. We might have beaten them. I don't know where it was. And I remember watching it on telly at a game. I was at. It was live. It was a Saturday afternoon game. And we've got beaten, and I've watched the game on the first, I think it was Tuesday night or before, and you know that you've been involved in doing the work in that report, and when you go and win, it's such a good feeling, and especially if as it's your own team as well, it's such a great thing. You've actually helped something back. I mean, you said that the playoff one was an easy one because that was such a great. It was great pride, and as well as it's your club, and you've actually gone back and actually helped your club out, even though it was your job. You go back and do it. But yeah, there's lots of games. You get a big result against someone, and you've done the reports, and you feel, yeah, you know what, I've helped with that. Or there's something you've made in the report, and you've made some sort of comment. They do this or that, and the club acts on it, and it uses it, and it comes off, and that's a great thing. Or you see someone about their set piece, they're doing this, and you can see when we play them, maybe we step out, catch them offside, and you're like, yeah, that's something I've spotted there. They've used it and we've won out of it. So yeah, there's a great pride there, that one. But yeah, anything like that, most scouts do the same. But it's the thing, if you when you get a result, you've gone there enough, you've spent your time and you've travelled on the road and you've gone to that game somewhere. It's a great feeling, especially as it's your own club. It's really, it means a lot to you.
A West Ham fan, working at West Ham, getting promoted, staying in the Premier League. Enjoy your time there?
Yeah, I absolutely loved it. I mean, it was great. As I said, it was just probably, again, I'm obviously more mature now as well. I was getting older, and if I went back there now, I'd probably, you'd do things slightly different, or you'd make the most of other opportunities. Or there's other times where you're thinking, I would have probably stood up and maybe said a little bit more. Maybe at some of these meetings, you know what, important, because you said I was still learning at that time, even though I was doing well. You understand more about the game now and stuff, and I've been a chief scout myself and stuff like that. So it's upsetting sometimes when the team is struggling and when they haven't been doing too well, and there's players that have come in and they haven't performed at all and stuff like that. And then you are disappointed, thinking that could be so much better, should be so much better, because the club deserves that. And it's great now that the club look like we're going back in the right direction again now at the moment. And hopefully when the fans get back in, the fans can be part of this again, because that's a sad point, isn't it? It's been some really good victories and good performance lately, and the fans haven't been able to be part of it, and that's a real, I'm not there on that day, and that's a real sad part of it. But
does it make scouting more difficult now, or because of like why scouting that is not too bad, or how's it changed?
To be honest, the scouting seems to be still going on. Scouts can still get into the games now, okay, if they're if again, like the free up, if you've got that opposition team coming up, so one of those teams you're facing those in the next 3 games, like we're saying, the 3 opposition reports, those guys are getting into. There's actually there will be 6 scouts in there. There probably isn't any more than that. So there's probably no recruitment scouts in there. But scouting has changed now. It is video scouting now. Every game is basically available on Y Scout. You can get it, and obviously I know the guys at Y Scout really well. So scouting, it has changed, but also now with the new rules that come in now since Christmas, with the new EU rules, that's going to change things slightly. Even though West Ham are going to be probably looking for internationals anyway, but there's probably those rough diamonds from overseas now. Like we said, that Benrahma now, and maybe Guendouzi or the other guys I mentioned, Bianda that went out to Roma and stuff, the guys that I recommended for us West Ham probably won't be able to sign those guys now. So the transfer, it's going to change a little bit now with the new rulings. So the players that are going to come through are going to be top international signings, but everyone's going to be after these as well. So the pool's going to slim down a little bit. Maybe we might see a few younger lads from the UK now getting picked up now. Like you might get a few lads from your homeland in Scotland, a few rough diamonds from Scotland might be brought down, but that might not have got the opportunity before. You never know. I think it will change a little bit now. It definitely will do. But,
and what are you up to these days?
So I said, so when I left West Ham, I went to Grimsby, of all the places. Got a phone call there to become a chief scout. Absolutely loved it. Their supporters are completely crazy and mad, very similar to the West Ham supporters, I think, in some ways. On a much smaller scale, but they've got more exiles, kind of like West Ham, all over the place. So they go and play a game somewhere. And there was a couple of games they played. They brought like nearly 4,000 away supporters to matches. They were getting more away supporters at games than they were getting home games in London and stuff like that. So I absolutely love working there. Talking about records and stuff like that. And again, I love that. The year I went from West Ham, I took the same kind of recruitment system, and idea down to Grimsby and the opposition scouting, same platform down there. And that following year, we broke the points record. They never had as many points in their club history. So it was something, okay, there's something we brought to the team there. Got to the playoff final, lost on penalties at Wembley, the Bristol Rovers, which was a killer. Then I went to Orient as chief scout under the mad regime that we had there for a year. And obviously on the end, and then Kevin Nolan and then Andy Heston-Tyler for a year. And it was good. It was a great opportunity there. It was just a shame that the way the club was being run. And I moonlighted at the end of the year, went back to Grimsby, helped them get promoted, won the playoff, went back as chief scout again. Did another year there. My gaffer, Don Paul Hurst, who's just come back again. I was under contract, couldn't move, and I had another 3 managers after that. So I had 7 managers in 2 seasons. I kind of had enough then. So I pulled away, started doing the French scouting, as I kind of mentioned. And then I've been, for the last year and a half now, I've been doing S4 scouting. So I've got my own sort of recruitment scouting workshops and courses. I've been doing it. So at the moment now I do workshops every night for agents and scouts from all over the world, from be it beginners to actually guys. We had a lot of guys from Man United youth scouts have come and done the workshops recently as well. I've had scouts from PSV Eindhoven, even the weekend have done the workshops there as well. So I get beginners, and I'll have you on it in a few weeks' time. Don't worry about it. You're not getting away with it. You'll be on there. Coming at you, enjoy it. But yeah, it's just I do interactive workshops, and again, it's just teaching people from my knowledge and experience from the clubs I worked at and under the managers I worked under. And then just passing that on. And if anyone, even as a football fan, wants to know more about the game, I get guys on the workshops, and they love it because it's interactive. I'm telling tales and passing on experiences of the people I worked with.
And how do they get involved? If someone's watching this thinking, I fancy a little bit of that, how do they get involved?
Yeah, no, the website, obviously you can see it posted behind me. So it's s4scouting.com, and we have the workshops that are literally I have 2 a week going on over 2 nights, and I have level 1 through to level 4, so level 1 to level 4 Pro Elite, and level 5 coming as well. And then they can just go on the website and book on and come and do it, and they can spend 2 hours, 2 nights, listen to me rabbit on for a while. And no, I said I make it as much fun as possible. And I said I get people from all over. It's not even just that. I mean, I've got someone from West Ham Ladies is coming this week to do one of the workshops. I've got the former Shrewsbury assistant managers jumping on the same workshop as well. So I'll get again, it's getting ideas from other people as well. So you're meeting other people on the workshops that work in football or agents as well, and interacting, and you're hearing what their opinions are. I'll set up little tasks, talk about how to assess a player. I'll show how to grade it, same process that we used at West Ham, and then they say, okay, this is how we did it. This is what we look for in a player, right? And then okay, we're going to watch a player. Then you're going to come back in, and you know what? We're going to assess him. So you've actually got a chance straight away to scout about ideas. We'll bounce ideas off you. What did you think? Did you think that? And then it's great hearing people then. As they always say, unfortunately, I ruin football for people because they do the workshop and then they then think they don't watch football ever the same way again. They start watching it as a scout. And they said they start watching off the ball movements and stuff. So they said they don't enjoy sitting there having a beer anymore. They can't do it. because when they're doing it, they're switched on. So
I'm gonna send Gonzo along because I'm fed up. Every time we do a transfer rumor show and I link to Boule Dia and people like that, he goes and watches them on YouTube and comes back on saying, "Well, I think he looks like this and you look like that," and I sit there and go, "Oh, shut it, shut it."
Yeah, the only thing, if he has to come on, you have to come and do it with him, and then you have to go head to head on there, and then you can start going up against each other, and then you can test each other's opinions and work out who's got the best out of the pair of you.
I'll send Gonzo along to your workshop. Don't you worry, we'll get him scouted up. But listen, Ged, thank you very much. Massively appreciate it. Thank you for giving up your time, coming along to chat with us about your time with West Ham. Good luck with your future venture. The link is in the description below. If you're sat at home thinking that you fancy a little bit of that, you want to know a little bit more, check in the description below. It's there. Just give it a click. Go check it out. But listen, thank you once again. Massively appreciate it.
No problem at all.
But you at home, if you've enjoyed this interview, drop a like on it, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and I'll be back very, very soon.